How are you, Geoff?
Fantastic. I was also surprised by the Michigan game. I think it just goes to show you that offenses now in college football, if you can run like Ohio State can, you just have a better advantage over defense. I mean, it just looked like Ohio State was quicker, faster, especially in offense, than Michigan was on defense.
Well, they're also a little bit deeper, I guess. I mean, some of these running backs that coming out of the backfield, there's like 3, 4 of them, and Michigan does have them too. They just weren't. They weren't as good on this day. It's that simple. It's that simple. And Haskins is terrific. I mean, Haskins came off the bench when Michigan was stopping J.T. Barrett last year and essentially won that game too, Geoff. But, I mean, and I guess this is why we're seeing more of this type of stuff in the NFL, right?
Yeah, because offenses seem to be ahead of the defense. There's still obviously a purpose in playing defense. I think that we've seen that through the history of sports. Alabama still plays great defense. They obviously have Tua, but even in the NFL, the Chiefs and Rams shootout, whatever that was a week ago, those teams don't play enough defense, in my opinion, to make a big stop in a playoff game, a Super Bowl setting. You have to play some semblance of defense to win, in my opinion, playoff games in college football, playoff games in the NFL, especially Super Bowl. Look, we had a high-scoring Super Bowl last year, but it came down to Brandon Graham making a play against a really good guard in Shaq Mason. You have to be able to make plays at times, and if you can't rush the passer and you can't even stop the pass at all, you really have no chance when it comes to playoffs.
Geoff Schwartz here on the Rich Eisen Show. What happened with the Giants in the second half yesterday? How does Saquon stay on the sideline like that, Geoff?
I'm not even that upset about that. I mean, I was watching the game and I thought it was odd too. But Odell Beckham, he made it clear afterwards, they should have got him the ball 20 times. I mean, Rich, me and you could have stood up for the Eagles in their secondary by the end of that game. There's no one left. They had no one left to play secondary for them. And how you don't attack them the entire game in their secondary was beyond me. The first half, I tweeted out the Giants looked like a very competent offense. They were formationally diverse. They were finding ways to get the ball in the tight end's hands and Odell's hands and Barkley's hands. And the second half, they went away from doing that. And look, the Eagles, as bad as they've been at times on defense, they can stop the run in decent amounts. I wasn't that upset that the Giants went away from the run game. I was upset they went away from the pass game because that's what the Eagles are terrible at. And you have Odell Beckham give him the ball. You have Jalen Ramsey, who he played against in week 1. Odell had 10 catches. You're playing against guys. As I did last night, we read off the names of the Eagles secondary players who started last night. I don't know who they are, and I follow the NFL very closely. Like, give the ball to Odell. So I was glad Odell said that after the game. I thought that was appropriate to say. I'm not upset about the Saquon Barkley. It would have been nice. I love running the football, but the ball should have been in Odell's hands way more often in that game.
And so how concerned about the Steelers should we be, Geoff? That's now 2 games in a row. They pulled one out of their you-know-what in Jacksonville. And then yesterday, Denver really put it to them. I mean, it's a tough place to play and win, obviously, in Thanksgiving weekend. And Denver really seems to have slowed them down.
Well, they said 550 yards on offense. They just didn't convert when it mattered, which is important, right? I mean, I'm not overlooking that part of that. But, you have a team in Pittsburgh who moved the ball fine all game. They just fumbled out the back of the end zone, which I despise that rule. It's one of the NFL's worst rules. I think that they should, in my opinion.
Me too.
I don't think that they should punish the defense by giving the ball back to the offense. I think that the defense should get the ball at the spot. So they should get the ball at the half-yard line. It should be a turnover still, but not to the point. Because if you give the ball back to the offense at that spot, it then basically negates the defense making a play. Like Parks made the tackle on Gimble and Grimble, I should say, and you should get some reward for making that play.
Well, no, to me, you shouldn't give the ball to the defense, Geoff, because had the ball been fumbled out at the half-yard line, the Steelers would have been able to keep the ball at the half-yard line. Just because it rolled a few more inches of real estate into the end zone should not now make it the ball in the hands of the defense. What they should do is it should be like a reverse touchback and move the ball back to the 20 for 1st and 10 or whatever the down and distance was from the 20. That's your penalty. You don't lose the ball. Might you just lose field position maybe if that's the way it works.
I'll tell you why I disagree a tad on that, because we treat the goal line differently than we do other points of the field, right? If you cross the goal line and fumble, it's a touchdown. It's not that way for a first down. Like, there's just different rules we have at the goal line than we do at the rest of the field. I do, however, kind of like your idea of bringing the ball back, and I had I wrote an article on this. I proposed that you give the ball back to the offense, but they lose a down. So basically, that gets a little bit of punishment for fumbling out the back of the end zone.
Lost it down. Sure.
The rules are so slanted to defense. I got to give the offense, I give the defense a little bit of love for making some plays. But back to Steelers, I'm not terribly worried. I mean, look, Denver's a hard place to play. First of all, Denver was feeling good about themselves. They just beat the Chargers. Denver has actually a pretty decent schedule down the stretch. They could kind of scare teams into maybe making a wild card. I'm not that concerned about the Steelers. They'll be fine.
Okay, Geoff Schwartz here on the Rich Eisen show. Ask him the poll question over there, Christopher. Go for it.
Yeah, Geoff. Well, who's been the biggest disappointment in 2018? Most disappointing team? Giants, Falcons, Jaguars, Packers, Raiders.
I can't imagine that anyone would vote for anyone other than the Jaguars.
A lot of people. We had Greg Jennings on earlier. He said it was the Packers. Where do the Jaguars rank there?
The Jaguars are second at 31%. Green Bay first, 38%.
Yeah, I would choose the Jaguars too, man. I thought that there was no way that this young up-and-coming team would take a step back. And even with Blake Bortles as quarterback, he performed well enough when the chips were down last year. I thought that they would take the similar path. It's been terrible. It's been awful.
They're 3-8, and they have their running back throwing down on the sidelines with Bills players. Fournette was in the game. He came off the bench to fight on that play. It's for sure, Jackson. Look, the Packers. There were signs this was coming. In my opinion, you have Rodgers coming off an injury, but just the offense in general has been stagnant for a couple of years now. What they do on offense, and it's not a come to them, and I'm not surprised. It feels like the offenses now have kind of passed up McCarthy. As they line up their wide receivers in a lot of static formations. They put 2 guys on one side, 3 guys on one side. They don't move very much. They're very spread out too. And they say, wide receivers, you get open and we'll find you. A lot of offenses now use formations and personnel groupings, and they use stacks and motions and shifts to get guys open, to get them good releases and find spots in the zone to throw. And they don't do that. And that's why Rodgers is often off rhythm. That's why he has to throw late in the down. There's never an easy throw in the Packers offense compared to when you see these other offenses that are functioning at a high level. So I think it's time for McCarthy to go. Plus, with the 4th down decision-making process, he doesn't know when to go for it, when not to. Calls a dive yesterday. I think it's time. It's run its course. Get someone else in for Rodgers.
Yeah, Geoff Schwartz here on the Rich Eisen show. I can't dispute what you just said. I mean, that dive too on Aaron. The wrong Aaron carried the ball. I mean, you got just one half yard, not even.
I hate the fullback dive. I hate the dive. It's that and the goal line fade are my 2 least favorite plays. If you're gonna give a dive to someone, just do a quarterback sneak. The quarterback is right there already. Just snap the ball and go forward. A dive takes too long and you end up having a wide receiver trying to block a safety, an all-pro safety, Harrison Smith. Just sneak the ball if you're going to do that. It's the same blocking for the offensive line. Just sneak the ball.
Last one for you. What do you think of Baker Mayfield's comments about why he didn't give Hugh the bro hug? He didn't give him the courtesy of the bro hug. He just extended the arm because Hugh joined a team that they're playing twice now.
Well, Hugh might be the first coach to get fired twice in the same season. So I'm looking forward to making some history this year with Hugh Jackson. I mean, come on. He's an offensive coach. You hired him to coach the defense, I guess. They allow 300 rushing yards and looked unprepared against Lamar Jackson. The Browns score 28 points in the first half. Well, yeah, the second half was better. Okay. They scored basically on defense in the second half. From a player's perspective, I totally get where Baker's coming from. I don't begrudge you for taking another job. He was fired. He was free to take a job. I think it was odd for him to go so quickly to a division opponent a week or 2 after he was fired. It does feel like if I was a player, it would feel like there was some revenge there. Like he wanted to go to the Bengals to beat the Browns twice.
Look, he got fired though. He got fired, right? I mean, it's not like
I'm fine. I know. I get it. I get both sides of it. I get Hugh Jackson wanting to work. I'm just telling you that I get where Baker Mayfield is coming from. I would feel the same way in the locker room if my head coach, not a position coach, no one else. It's very rare that we see this. A head coach gets fired, goes to a division rival 2 weeks before they play that team, and is coaching the opposite side of the ball that he coached his entire career. So you're taking an offensive guy, putting him on defense, and basically saying, Hugh, tell us everything you know about the Browns offense so we can try to stop them. And obviously it didn't work at all yesterday.
But I mean, if I gave you an option, and this is amazing, I'm asking this question that's even a legit one, which 4-6-1 team has a better chance of making the playoffs where the wild card 6 seed is 6-5, same thing in the AFC and the NFC, the Browns with Baker Mayfield or Aaron Rodgers and the Packers?
Oh, I can't believe you're asking this question.
I mean, it's fact. I mean, they're both the same record. They both have the similar issue, which is they're not going to win their division, but they have the ability to make a wild card because the team that's in the 6th seed is just 6-5, a game and a half in front of them.
Well, the Browns are at the Texans, at the Broncos, at the Ravens. That's going to be difficult. But the Packers are 0-6 on the road this year, so they have more home games going down the stretch. I would lean with the Packers still because they have Aaron Rodgers. They've done it before. And like I said, they have 3 home games coming down the stretch, and they're at the Jets is one of their away games. So I feel like the Packers are still the answer here. The Browns still got to prove it to me. You know, make the playoffs before I can crown you as.
Well, I'm not saying they're going to, but I'm this is a total 1,000% sports talk radio question, Geoff. I mean, but
it's 100% fair.
But the fact that
you in the hunt.
But the fact that you said it's not, well, I'm going with Aaron Rodgers over Baker Mayfield, you went schedule on me. Just says I think everything that you need to.
That's the way I am. I'm not going to put my neck on the line. I'd rather fight for the Browns over the Packers right now. Maybe next year.
Well done, Geoff. Appreciate the chat. We'll chat again soon. Always enjoy it.
All right, take care, bud. Appreciate it.
At Geoff Schwartz. Follow him on Twitter. It's Jeoff Schwartz. It's a good follow. Really good follow.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.